Hello everyone. In this Frigomat clip, I'd like to introduce the KLASS TOUCH Touch. It's a two-flavor floor-standing soft serve machine with a third level for mixing the two flavors together, with pumps and tank steering. What does pumps mean? It means that it has a pump that transfers the liquid product that we load and keep in the tanks inside the batch cycle through a device that puts the batch cycle under pressure in order to obtain a product with a greater overrun and therefore a warmer, creamier and more full-bodied texture. Tank steering, on the other hand, is an option that becomes fundamental where the machine is used in compatibility with ingredients or with the powder products that are mixed following a cold process, and which could be subject to decantation and separation, a sort of stratification where the heavier product falls down, giving us a lack of homogeneity in the overall quality. Stirring it in the tank guarantees the homogeneity of the product sucked by the pump, whose function we have previously described, giving us a consistent gelato, both in quality and taste. Now, this specific machine, KLASS TOUCH, is offered by Frigomat with an air, water, hybrid and tropicalized cooling system. Cooling is but a system that helps the compressor to cool the system. Now, it can be air-based, meaning that the machine uses the surrounding air to cool itself. Or it can be water-based, so we use cold mains water. It could be even hybrid, that is, the machine has a double system with both air and water and autonomously shifts towards the most performing cooling system according to the compressor requirements. The tropicalized version is a specific version for those markets where the room temperature is particularly high, so the machine would require an oversized cooling system compared to the European standards. It's a highly flexible machine, thanks to its storing tanks' complete independence and control system. As you can see, the machine offers two separate controls. It's almost like having two machines inside one frame. Therefore, we have independent consistency control. We can load two products on both the right and left side, two radically different products categories, such as fruit-based recipe and a milk-based cream recipe, which tend to be unbalanced between each other, needing particularly different consistencies. For this machine, that's not a problem at all. Or the more traditional combination of vanilla and chocolate that works all over the world, or strawberry and lemon. The machine batches everything. It also gives the possibility of customizing calibration of the consistency level, meaning how cold and compact the gelato will be, and also the amount of air that we are going to compress inside the batch cycle, in order to obtain a more or less soft gelato when we taste it. Now, we also have the possibility, namely through this double control, to be able to keep one of the two sides completely still for the most variable needs. That could be because of the off-peak season, when we keep the market supply at the bare minimum and make only one flavor working, the best-selling one. That might be a yogurt that is all the rage in recent years, or we might need to stop one of the two tanks simply for a flavor change path, and this can be carried out without blocking productivity and sales with the other flavor that remains active. These tanks we've just talked about are high-capacity tanks. Therefore, they contain a significant product reserve, giving us a truly significant and important dispensing capacity. They have a level control that is shown on the display, a double level control system, and of course, they also have an automatic control of the storage temperature, as well as the possibility of customizing through this graphic interface. Customizing both the maintenance temperature, where we have some little out-of-the-box needs, as well as the mixing systems in the tank, because they are absolutely calibrated according to the raw material we are using to avoid decantation, but also to avoid the opposite effect, that is that it can emulsify and give rise to an alteration of the flavor when we serve it. Now, another important thing about this machine is that we have mixed transfer pumps, which are gear pumps. These pumps are very easy to handle. They're made of only 4 pieces, so they are really child-proof. They can be handled with great ease during the ordinary maintenance automatisms, that is, the machine washing. Normally, we use animal products, so the bacterial load is always a risk. It is essential to pay constant attention to the machine in terms of cleaning. The attention we give to a mixture transfer pump is essential because we always guarantee the same serving quality, so the pump is easy to assemble, disassemble, and reassemble. This is really important when this machine has to be managed in a franchise or in a large structure where we have a significant staff turnover, and therefore we need the machine to be simple and easy to manage. We have the beater inside the batch cycle. It's a resin monoblock beater, clearly foodstuff grade resin. There are no complicated parts to assemble that would make this operation a little more difficult if we were to refer to a significant staff turnover. We have a high production capacity. We can even get to 40 kilos, meaning that we can really cope with very significant productivity peaks. We have a clearly automatic starting system in serving. When we lower the lever, the machine starts serving in perfect autonomy. We have a 7 inches capacitive touchscreen, a patented smart graphic interface designed to easily manage both the production parameters and the various functions we have, with the traditional scroll system that allows us to select the functions of the operation we need to calibrate. Also, the great ease of being able to customize some parameters of consistency, storage, and processing temperature.
Alcuni parametri di consistenza, conservazione, temperatura di lavorazione.
Through this display, we can also monitor the alarms, for example, or the working temperatures, even the sales volume, and therefore productivity, a very significant feat that is very useful when we start a franchise or we have more than one store to monitor. The production system provides an automatic cycle with an easy-to-manage menu, allowing us to manage the hardness of the finished product.
Un menu di facile gestione dove noi gestiamo la durezza del prodotto finito.
Then we have the possibility to access a recipe menu. For example, with a feature book, we literally combine temperature paths, conservation cycle, switch on/off the various storings that are customized flavor by flavor. We put it in the feature book as in a mobile phone address book, and then it will be very simple to go and call up strawberry or lemon in the address book and have, when the ingredients have been loaded, a dedicated program resulting from our direct experience with that recipe. Another meaningful feature we have is the stop and draw function.
la funzione di stop and go, cioè
that we're about to see.
adesso lo andremo a vedere caricando la
By loading the machine itself tells us when the gelato is ready to be served, so that in times of production peaks, we can serve gelato and cones in rapid succession. Because we have to face a sea of people. We hope that this is the case. And in this case, the machine will tell us through its graphic interface when it is time to serve, in order to always have a certain consistency in the quality, and therefore guaranteeing the satisfaction of the end customer. So let's see how to start the machine. We open both lids, we load in 2 flavors, we release the delivery pipe,
il tubo di mandata e carichiamo
and we load 2 quite traditional semi-finished products in the machine.
Carichiamo in macchina. A questo punto
Now,
togliamo
we remove these
e mettiamo in funzione
and
la
start
macchina.
the machine. At first, simply on beating. Through this operation, we must make sure that the batch cycle is flooded. Then let the liquid food mixer we loaded into the tank go down. We let it go down here where the batch cycle is.
Dove c'è il cilindro di mantecazione. Questa
We
operazione
clearly repeat this operation on the other side too.
Andiamo a premere il tasto.
Let's press the button and the machine starts loading the product into the batch cycles.
Ora,
Now,
una volta che
we
abbiamo
have
caricato
loaded our mixture.
il nostro semilavorato, è possibile
It's possible to customize what the machine setup will be
setup della macchina proprio
according to the recipe we have chosen.
Quindi,
Then, through this loading operation, when the machine stops bubbling or gives us an auditory sensation that the cycles have been flooded, we can introduce the delivery pipes. We close the lids, adjust the air calibration, and start the machine again
scegliendo
by selecting the gelato batching.
del gelato.
At this point, as you can see, the machine's display shows us a rising, growing number, and at the same time it indicates the temperature of the product that we have introduced into the tank, which is essentially the maintenance one. At the same time, the display shows us that the tank beating system, that we can call the emulsifier, is active and is beating the product. At the same time, also the level control system in the tank is operating. If we drop below a threshold that we call reserve, the machine will warn us by means of a visual signal on the display. We might also want to program a machine down situation when we try to serve, but we are going below the reserve. If we want, we can even set up the machine so it will start alarms on the display with a marking and at the same time stop serving. Even if we can actually force the serving by pressing a button. The batch process sees the increase of the consistency and therefore of the gelato texture. The water crystallizes, giving us a colder and more consistent product. This consistency is constantly measured by the electronic system through these numbers that you see on the display in the middle. It indicates that we'll have to actually manage the gelato hardness and consistency for its sale. That's clear. Now, while the machine faces its production path, let's move on to the prerogatives that this graphic interface offers us. We can memorize events, cycles and alarms, which is also of great value for technicians or dealers. We then have a technical menu that allows managing and programming many parameters, which are purely technical in nature, but which really allow us to tune the machine according to every single aspect of the finished product. We can access a multimedia file submenu. These clearly aim at improving the understanding of the machine and its usability by the end user. Then we have the instruction manual, the exploded spare parts diagram, and some video graphics that tell us what is the functionality of the machine we are dealing with and how to face it. Like, for example, with the first loading that I've just shown you. The machine can still show it to me on the display. We can also, for example, have a serving counter. So the machine can be programmed to memorize the volume of servings that we can with a franchise approach, or in any case, having employees in the store monitor the actual sales volumes, also in order to cope with a more accurate planning in relation to what are the management standards of a store. We have a security patent called CTS, which is a sort of electronic assistant used to prevent operating anomalies, because it intervenes on the functionality of the machine where there is an operational error by the end user. So the machine is able to protect itself from certain situations by automatically changing function and displaying a signal that draws the operator's attention. In the meantime, the machine goes on its batching path, and we can also get ready for what our productivity day will be.
Far fronte alla nostra giornata di produttività.
Well, now, as you can see, the machine has reached consistency for the values we have set, and we can proceed with the supply of what will be the serving to the public. We equip ourselves with a nice cup, a fior di latte, or a nice strawberry, or even the traditional cup,
molto più semplicemente la tradizionale coppa con
with both flavors served together. Clearly, this machine will keep the gelato and will be ready to serve it, to face even productivity peaks to up to 40 kilos per hour. Let's say that this is the fundamental part of what is the productivity of the machine. At this point, we can address the night topic. When night comes and we no longer need for productivity, and therefore we simply have to ask the machine for energy savings to consume less electricity and clearly to maintain the organoleptic and salubrity characteristics unaltered. That seems obvious. Of the product we have in the work, we simply go through this really immediate graphic interface to activate some functions by selecting the icon. We click the moon icon, which reminds us of the night cycle, which is that of our mixer storing. When we come back in the morning, we'll simply have to reactivate the production path through the graphic interface by pressing the home key or the creative function key. The key for the creative function is another Frigomet patent that allows us to work semi-finished products with even unbalanced recipes. What does unbalanced mean? It means that it is not necessarily a gelato recipe. We might be making an alcohol-based frozen cocktail to be served cold. And therefore, we are going to face a customization that is an actual customization of the heat treatment cycle of the product we want to serve. Now, These operations which we've spoken about, the manual one, i.e. that the operator interact on the graphic interface to switch to night mode or day mode, can be bypassed through the graphic interface with a dedicated programming so that the machine in perfect autonomy and at a set time switches to night mode, and at a set time it switches back to day mode to guarantee continuity of productivity and compensate for any staff oversights that may not only have to manage the gelato machine, but in a context of multitasking sales, where we not only have a gelato machine, but maybe we have crepes, pastries, and coffees. There are many things to do. And maybe the operator has forgotten to start the machine. That's no longer a problem. The machine reminds itself. Then we have to remember the importance of cleaning. We will never stop saying it. The quality of what we will be serving depends on the machine, the recipe, and the meticulousness we put into cleaning. Cleaning is very important. We use milk. Often in recipes we use animal products and other products that have a fat content. So these are situations for a possible development of bacterial load and also of molds. So it is essential to give the machine the right time for what is called ordinary maintenance, i.e. washing. Now, the other very interesting part that this graphic interface offers us is to remember the washing paths. At the machine programming level, we can even create a function inhibition mode, where we exceed a certain time differential. I.e., I dial in 2 days, 48 hours, and after 48 hours, the machine no longer allows us to make gelato, unless we carry out a cleaning process. At this point, the machine, through the management of this washing path, and in any case respecting the hygienic regulations, uses new control parameters that are managed by the algorithms of the electronic board. Algorithms that verify the correct washing and sanitization procedure in order to ensure that the cleaning process is actually what must be done, so that the quality of the servings is always up to the expectations of the end user. Now, thank you for your kind attention, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on this channel as soon as possible. Goodbye.